This is a car so outrageous, so drenched in excess, that it didn't just define the 1980s, it was the 1980s, the Ferrari Testarossa. When it first appeared in 1984, the world wasn't subtle. Miami Vice was on TV, shoulder pads were wider than aircraft wings, and Wall Street yuppies were buying everything in sight. Ferrari looked at all that madness and thought, yes, let's make a car to match it. The Testarossa was not elegant. It was loud, flat, wide, and with those famous cheese grater side strakes that looked like someone had run a lawn rake down the bodywork. Subtle? Not at all. Effective? Absolutely. They weren't just styling gimmicks. They fed air into the massive radiators, shoved to the sides, because the car's 12-cylinder heart was so big it left no space up front. And what an engine it was. A 4.9-litre flat 12, pumping out nearly 400 horsepower, enough to take it to 290 kilometers per hour. In the mid-80s, that was basically warp speed. Put your foot down, and the car didn't just move, it surged forward with a soundtrack that made heavy metal sound like elevator music. But here's the controversial bit. The Testarossa wasn't actually that good to drive. The gearbox was heavy, the clutch was brutal, and the car was so wide it felt like you were trying to thread a fridge through a letterbox. The handling, let's just say, if you weren't paying attention, it would happily spin around and introduce you to a hedge at frightening speed. Still, none of that mattered, because the Testarossa wasn't really about lap times or handling finesse. It was about theatre. The doors swung open. You dropped into a cabin trimmed in acres of leather, and the world outside instantly turned its head. And this is where the legend really took shape. The Testarossa wasn't just a car. It became a cultural icon. Sonny Crockett drove one in Miami Vice. It covered bedroom walls as a poster car for an entire generation. If you wanted to show you'd made it in the 1980s, really made it. You didn't buy a mansion or a yacht, you bought a Ferrari Testarossa. Even the name was flamboyant. Testarossa, Italian for redhead, a nod to its scarlet-painted cam covers. It sounded exotic, dangerous, and just a little bit ridiculous. Perfect for a car that was never meant to whisper quietly in the corner. And as the years went on, its flaws only added to the myth. Yes, it overheated in traffic. Yes, reversing it was an Olympic sport. And yes, it guzzled fuel like an oil tanker with a hole in it. But none of that stopped it from becoming one of the most instantly recognizable Ferraris of all time. Today, the Testarossa is a symbol, not of precision engineering, not of practicality, but of a time when supercars were allowed, even expected, to be utterly ridiculous. It was flawed, it was temperamental, it was absurdly wide, but it was also beautiful, iconic, and utterly unforgettable. The Ferrari Testarossa didn't just represent the 1980s, it was the 1980s. Loud, brash, and absolutely impossible to ignore.